And tonight, the unending debate over cocoa prices as the National Democratic Congress minority MPs lock horns with government over who has the better track record of increasing the prices of this cash crop and also improving the livelihood of farmers.
And we have come to a firm conclusion that the government of the day hasn't been fair to the cocoa farmers.
When we came in 2017, the price of cocoa per metric ton dropped from the 2,950, yet we paid farmers the same rate that the NDC paid them.
And tonight, two different organizations clashing over the track record of the government on cocoa prices. We have details as there's a fresh call also being made by the minority MPs calling for the dismissal of the COCOBOD CEO, who is now being accused of mismanaging the cocoa sector.
So clearly, something is amiss at the Ghana Cocoa Board. We are seeing the production coming down, declining to the lowest in the last 15 years. So everything has gone bad at the Ghana Cocoa Board. We're also seeing...
We get to the very latest from Dadia Soba, where the minority has been engaging cocoa farmers. My name is Blessed Suga, and Top Story, as always, is brought to you by Vodafone. Further together. Tonight, the minority in Parliament descending heavily on government and the CEO of COCOBOD, Boahen Aidoo, and asking him to resign from office for running down COCOBOD and shortchanging farmers. Government announced a significant increase in the price of cocoa by more than 60%, but the minority say that isn't enough. Minority Leader Dr. Kaisala Tufosin, who has been leading the National Democratic Congress's MPs to engage cocoa farmers in Dadia-Soba in the Ahafo region, says the price of a bag of cocoa should have gone up to 2,500 Ghana cedis at least. So why is he making the demand, and why are they equally demanding for the resignation of the COCOBOD CEO? Joining us on the telephone lines now is parliamentary correspondent Kweku Asante, who's joining us with the very latest from this engagement in the Ahafo region. Kweku, if you can hear me, a lot of issues unfolding from this press briefing by the minority when, of course, they engaged cocoa farmers. Let's start off with a concern by the minority leader, first of all, on the issue of pricing. 2,500 cedis at least is the expectation of the NDC minority MPs. Why are they making this claim?
Yes, Blessed. In fact, they make the argument that if you add premium, that should have been able to go up by at least 2,800 Ghana cedis. Then it says that if you look at the exchange rate fluctuation in the country, that should inure to the benefit of the farmer, and also the record increase of cocoa price on the international market. We can listen to Dr. Kaisala Tufosin making that demand forcefully that farmers should have gotten at least 2,500 cedis.
Following the recent announcement of the Producer Price Review Committee that they have increased the cocoa price, the farm gate price per bag from 800 to 1,360. And we have come to a firm conclusion that the government of the day hasn't been fair to the cocoa farmers, for a simple reason that clearly we know that there are two major determinants of the price of a cocoa. So a bag of cocoa is determined by two factors. The first is the price in the world market. The second is the exchange rate. Nothing more, nothing less. You also agree with me that any time that a currency depreciates, the person who exports gains and the person who imports losses. So the bottom line is that the only sector that will gain will be the export sector. And we know that the cocoa farmer is the main exporter in this country. So in times like this, the person who should benefit is the cocoa farmer.
And that's the reason for which Keseletto Forsen is going ahead, Kweku, to make new claims now. In fact, this is the third, of course, member of government or a government appointee that the minority seem to be having issues with. Why are they asking or calling for the head of the COCOBOD CEO?
Right. So, in fact, COCOBOD as an institution have been making losses since 2017, and the COCOBOD have blamed that mainly on the price fluctuations and how much they have to give farmers. But tonight, the minority have been insisting that the COCOBOD has been mismanaged by Joseph Boahen Aidoo. Farmers are continuously being shortchanged. He's using the money to give bonuses to workers of COCOBOD, and that they believe that in totality, he is not competent enough to run the affairs of COCOBOD and must either step aside or be sacked.
So clearly, something is amiss at the Ghana Cocoa Board. We are seeing the production coming down, declining to the lowest in the last 15 years. So everything has gone bad at the Ghana Cocoa Board. We're also seeing them recording massive losses since 2017. Last year, according to their own audit report, they declared a loss of 2.4 billion Ghana cedis 1 year. 1 year. And the question is, what's going on? Clearly, I don't think that Boahen Aidoo deserves to be in office. He has mismanaged the cocoa sector massively. He's been reckless, mismanaged, shortchanged the cocoa farmer, and in the end, he has brought productivity down. So I don't see why he should be in office. He should rather resign instead of him insulting President Mahama. Our position is that the price must be 2,005.
Okay, so this debate over the pricing, and in fact, as we speak, the governing New Patriotic Party is also holding a separate news conference on this matter with Richard Akyangba clapping back, if we could use that word, against the NDC and its lawmakers, claiming that the prices started to drop even when they were in power. Listen to just an excerpt of what's happening right now at the headquarters of the party.
950, yet we paid farmers the same rate that the NDC paid them.
And that's, of course, what's happening now, simply because the debate is unending. So what's the figure or the data telling us? Isaac Kofi is a data analyst with the Joy News Desk, joining us now with the latest when it comes to the figures. Isaac, let's start off from the era of the NDC. What data do we have?
Right, Blazer. So I'm looking at the figures from 2012 to the 2023-2024 farming season. And if I should look at the data this way, if you look at the trend analysis, in fact, the current 63.5% increment in the price of cocoa per bag is the highest in the period under review, per the data that we have comparing the prices over the period. So let's start with 2012-2013 season, when President Mahama, that was his first term, actually cocoa prices per bag was increased by 3.4%.
Okay.
The next window, there was no increment, it was zero. 2014-2015, that was when President Mahama actually had the highest increments in cocoa price per bag. That was 62.7%. Then in 2015-2016, it went up by 21.7%. 2016-2017, that was when President Akufo-Addo came to power. Started from 13.1% in 2016-2017, but the prices were kept constant between 2017 and 2019. There was no change in the price per bag. Then 2020-2021, I think that was when the first increment came after that long period. That
Okay, so let's be brief about this. A significant rise, even when John Dramani Mahama was in power. Then there was a slump before the NPP administration took over.
Absolutely.
They've kept the prices at that level ever since, and are doing a marginal or a significant increase based on where you stand on this matter. What's the percentage now?
So percentage terms, if you're looking at what the President Akufo-Addo government is increasing, this is about 63.5%. This is up from the 21.2% increment in the 2022-2023, window. Now, we also did some sort of, average analysis. So right from 2013-2014, when President Mahama was actually in power, if you look at from 2012 to 2016, cocoa prices were increased on average 22%. 2016 to 2020, that's the Akufo-Addo era. That was 5.4%. That was his first term. Then his second term, 2020 to 2024, if we add this 63.5 projected increase, we are looking at 28.2% within this period.
And in fact, a lot is unfolding tonight. Let's first of all deal with this aspect about the pricing, and then we get into the politics of it, the demand from the governing, from the opposition National Democratic Congress, and what it is that the New Patriotic Party has been saying. Isaac Kofi is still with us just to, of course, fact check some of the figures that, of course, the COCOBOD will put out tonight. Joining us now in this whole conversation is Fifi Boafo, who is head of PR at COCOBOD. Thank you, sir, for joining us here on Top Story. First of all, your initial reaction to this whole debate that has started. What, in your view, may have necessitated what we're seeing today?
Well, for me, I consider cocoa as a very important commodity in terms of the body politics of our country. The people who rely on the cocoa industry, the farmers alone, are almost 800,000. They have dependents who average 5. So that put together, you are talking about 4 million people who are directly within the cocoa industry. Of course, there are other people within the value chain who rely on the cocoa industry. So anything that has to do with cocoa farmers has a lot of effect in terms of the politics of our country. So in terms of things like price, it plays a key role in the politics of our country. So for a government, if you increase a producer price by 63.5, that's significant, and government believes that it will have a lot of impact on voters. For opposition political party, if government is able to increase the income of about 4 million people within the country, of course there are others who are also part of the value chain, then there's something significant that has happened. And clearly, if you're a political animal, you will not sit unconcerned. You will need to at least water down the effect of such a change in the lives of the people.
And I see the word you're using here, water down. But of course, the figures are also coming up. You've looked at it. The NDC argues that we left it off at a higher margin in terms of when they were leaving government. You have come, the figures have gone down, and you're just increasing marginally. That's their argument on this one.
That is inaccurate. It is inaccurate because the idea that, well, when the new government took over, there's not been any increase until this one. That is not true because, for example, in the year 2019-2020, the price was increased by 8.4%. In the year 2020-2021, it was increased by 28.2%. Indeed, last year, the price was increased by 21.2%, and this year it has been increased by 63.5%. I'm sure you can check
that tallies with what you have.
Same data that we have here.
Okay, precisely. So that's out of the way.
Yes, so it is inaccurate for anybody to suggest that this is the first time government is increasing the price. On top of that, I think the minority argument, and I've even heard a former president say same, it is based on an inaccurate position. And Dr. Forson actually proceeded further to even conclude that based on that, farmers ought to be paid 2,500 Ghana cedis a bag. And this is the reason or the basis of that argument. According to the minority, they believe that at a particular point in time, spot price of cocoa was 3,600, and we should use 3,600 as a basis of determining how much cocoa farmers should be paid. Dr. Forson has worked at COCOBOD as a board member in the past. He understands very well that if you go to the trading room at Cocoa Marketing Company, you do not do spots and use it as a basis of determining price. Indeed, the traders, within 12 to 15 months, they spend that period in selling the crop. So the price you get, you actually have to average what you've been able to achieve within the period of sale. So sales dates back as October last year, up to June, where the Producer Price Review Committee start to take this decision. So if you pick a figure from the internet to say that, well, in August, the price was 3,600,
yes,
and use it as a basis to determine the price. Clearly, you are not being fair to the facts. But on top of that, even the 3,600 they talk about, that it's CIF, that is cost, insurance, and freight. But they use the cost, insurance, and freight figure to determine the price without being mindful of the fact that the other cost component do not come to COCOBOD, and then they do go to the shippers and they do go to the insurance company. On top of that, apart from the fact that you sold from October last year to say June this year, and the figure you get is not the spot price you have today, it is also important to note that not every cocoa you sell gives you what the international price is offering you, because you have main crop beans and you have light crop beans, you have type 4 and others.
Right.
The main crop beans will give you what you see on the internet, but the other crop you have, it's actually discounted between 20 to 40%, and he's not taking that into consideration.
Obviously make these points because even from our checks, the data is on your side. 28%, correct, Isaac, as against 22% in all. That's for President Akufo-Addo's record and that of John Dramani Mahama. But Fifi, it is instructive to note that the reason for which you're even increasing the prices may not necessarily be because you care so much for the farmers, as is being argued. The feeling is that you're responding simply to the market trends. Smuggling going up as never before. If the cocoa sector was well managed, why would that have been, the prior reason for which government will consider a price adjustment? You're not handling matters well, is that criticism?
I have heard the argument about smuggling, but it is important we cast our minds back from what the situation has been from 2017
yes,
up to date. From 2017 up to last year, there has never been an issue of smuggling in our country. And the reason is simple. Between 2017 to 2022, Ghana has paid better price than our neighboring countries. So if you say that within a period of 7 years, in one particular year, your neighbors pay better price than you do, for that reason, it amounts to insensitiveness. Clearly, then you are not being fair to facts, because in a period of 7 years, 6 continuous years, Ghana has paid a better price if you compare to Cote d'Ivoire. And this year, you have a situation where Cote d'Ivoire paid better price, and you say that, yes, because in that particular year, we are not proud of the fact.
But you admit that fact.
I am making a point. I'm making a point to the effect that in 1 year out of 7, when you are outpaid, it is incompetence or inefficiency on your part. What happened to the 6 years when you paid better?
And what's happening now, I guess?
What is happening now, the price that has been announced is higher than what is being sold in Cote d'Ivoire. We are yet to have the price from Cote d'Ivoire, but I could share this with you because I sit in a privileged position where I sit in some meetings, even though I've not been given the permission to say that on air. What I know is that there have been some conversation between us and our neighboring countries to have a fair idea of what the market will offer in Cote d'Ivoire. We are not there yet. So we are unable to say that, well, they will increase the S by X or Y. It can only be based on assumption. But the truth is that between 2017 to 2022, Ghana paid better price than what Cote d'Ivoire was paying.
Okay, so this is just a one-off as you're.
It is just one-off.
In fact, the NDC is also joining the conversation. Sami Jemfi is with us. Lawyer Sami Jemfi, thanks for your time here on Top Story. You've been listening to Fifi Wanfo break down the issues. We'll get to the next leg of it where you're subsequently making some claims as well. And we'll get to Sami Jemfi for you shortly, trying to understand what their position is on this matter. But there's an intervention also coming through from Isaac Ofieje, the part about this being a one-off. From the trend we have, is it looking as though, of course, this is just a one-off as government is putting out?
Well, let me rehash this. So I said between 2012 and 2016, the average change in price of cocoa was 22%. Between 2016 and 2020, the average was 5.4%. So if you compare President Akufo-Addo's probably his first term to President John Dramani Mahama's first term, President John Dramani Mahama's first term was relatively higher than that of President Akufo-Addo.
His first term?
His first term.
Okay.
But if you look at between 2020 and 2024. That is, if you include the projected 63.5% increment, then you are looking at 28.2% for President Akufo-Addo in his second term. So this is what the data says, and this is how the trend is looking at Blessed.
I see. Let's deal with the new demand coming through from the minority now. The claim. And you've worked with Dr. Boahen, so you're in a position to know the gentleman we're talking about. The claim that he's not managed COCOBOD well, and he needs to go home.
Well, this is just a way of getting back at him. It is to be expected, because the chief executive yesterday issued a statement seeking to correct what the former president had put out. And he indeed made a point that the information that was put out by the former president is clearly based on the fact that the people who briefed him gave him wrong information. And the people, obviously, who briefed the former president for him to make that mistake are the people talking. So it is a way of diluting matters and just wash what they have done. Because you went to the former president to tell the former president to issue a statement to the effect that 3,600 should have been the basis for determining the price of cocoa. When you knew
and is that far-fetched even in the first
place? It is a very wrong assumption, because cocoa was sold between October last year to June this year, and that is the practice. It is the practice. So if you are making any claim to the effect that it should have been 3,600, then you do not understand how the industry operates.
Aside the price, the issues of indebtedness.
I'll make the point. Right. So these persons who went to the former president to tell His Excellency that, Mr. President, put it out there that they should have used 3,600 as the basis. And now you have the chief executive coming to correct what the former president has put out there. Probably, and he's human, he will feel embarrassed that these people have misled him. The people who misled him as a way of getting back at the person who has come out to put us information is to say that, after all, you are incompetent. Step aside. It is just a way of trying to correct the misinformation they provided our former president.
But deal with the indebtedness for me.
With the indebtedness. So let me tell you the genesis of the problem COCOBOD has had in terms of these losses they talked about. In 2017, when the new chief executive took over, COCOBOD had done the syndication, drawn down 1.8 billion. By December 28, all the amount of money had been spent. The entire amount had been spent. So when the new management took over, with approval from the board, had to go to the Bank of Ghana to seek cocoa bills in order to be able to run. COCOBOD that year bought cocoa to the tune of 940,000 metric tons. The money that was procured for the purpose was 1.8 billion. By December, COCOBOD had bought about 540,000 metric tons. The remaining quantities of cocoa that was bought, there was no cedi in terms of fertilizers and chemicals that had been procured. There was no resources left for the chief executive and his management to pay for it. So COCOBOD had to go to the Bank of Ghana to seek for cocoa bills in order to be able to pay for these costs. So these costs, together, of course, the fact that when we're talking about the prices compared to what the other countries were doing, cocoa prices in 2016 was about 2,900 average. By 2017, cocoa prices had come down to 2,060. I'm sure when you were playing Ahiagbe's statement, he made mention of the fact that the government had to find a way of sustaining that price. So that is when you had to go in for Bank of Ghana to seek for funds to do this purpose. So it is not a case where you take money, misapply it, but in a way of maintaining the industry.
Let's bring in lawyer Sammy Gyamfi. And counsel, I hope that you've been listening to the argument of Fifi Buafo. The point that things were already barred when the NPP had come through. Now they've stabilized, they are increasing steadily. That's the argument.
Hello?
I can hear you, sir.
Did I hear you say that Fifi Buafo says that things were bad at COCOBOD when they took office and that they are turning things around?
You heard him, sir.
Well, that comment is a very, very shameful comment because it is an attempt by the very people who have mismanaged and collapsed COCOBOD to justify their cracks in its management, recklessness, and incompetence. This is the first time in the history of COCOBOD that they have recorded losses for 7 consecutive years. In 2017, they recorded a loss of 395 million cedis. They recorded a loss of 78.2 million cedis in 2018, a loss of 320.6 million in 2019, 426 million cedis in 2020, and in 2021, a staggering loss of a whopping 2.4 billion.
Sami, where are you getting these figures from?
These figures are contained in the Auditor General's report. So if you check the Auditor General's report for 2018, you will see the loss they made in 2017, which is 395 million, and vice versa. So you can check that for yourself. And they cannot deny that. So these people who have collapsed COCOBOD, such that for the first time in the history of COCOBOD, they've made losses for 7 consecutive years, they've defaulted on their debt obligations, and have had to introduce a debt restructuring program. They've not been able to even repay 8 billion cedis of cocoa bills they issued. These are the people who today have the audacity and the temerity to be granting interviews when they should be signing their resignation letters.
Is going home the solution?
Simple. The international FOB price of cocoa today, averagely, is $3,600. That was the average for the month of August. The month that for the month of July was not significantly different. That for the month of September has not been significantly different. Averagely, the price is hovering around 3,600. In fact, on some markets, the spot price has gone up to as high as $3,800.
But Sami, when you bring up that figure, you're being challenged on that by Fifi, who's right here before us. He says you're picking the figures from the internet.
But where should we pick the figures from? Is cocoa sold in the bedroom?
Can I address the issue?
Cocoa is sold on the
Sami, if you don't mind, I will wish to make some clarification so probably you understand these issues. It is very misleading for anyone to say that the mere fact that in August you see a particular price that should form the basis of determining an FOB price demonstrates someone who has clear lack of understanding of the industry.
Sami, he's just making the point. Yes, Sami, I can hear you. He's just making the point.
Time to make his point, and you came to me.
I get that. He's just coming through. Sami, just hold on. He's just coming through with reasons why he's disputing your figures.
I am saying that as the cocoa season for every year starts on the 1st of October of that year and ends on the 31st of September of the subsequent year. And I'm saying that we've not even gotten to 1st October yet. Yet the international market price has surged to a 46-year record high of over $3,600. As we speak, the price has hit about $3,800. And we are saying that if you look at the average as at the 31st of August, they did this opening, okay, which is the first time the cocoa season is being opening in September. They did it on the 8th of September. If you check the time they opened the season, the average price was 3,600. And the interbank rate was 11 Ghana cedis. If you convert that into cedis, you get 39,708 per ton. If you divide that by 16 to get the price, the international FOB price by bag, you get 2,418, almost 2,500. Why are you giving the poor cocoa farmer only 52.7% of this price, and you are retaining a whopping 47%? Why are you giving the cocoa farmer 1,300 when the cocoa farmer should be getting more? If you factor in premium of $487, which they have gotten this year, the cocoa farmer should not be getting anything less than 2,500. So what they have done, like President Mahama has said, is a total rip-off. And this is what they have been at since they took office, taking cocoa farmers for granted and lying through their teeth on top of that. And when they retain all those monies at their head office, they mismanage it, they abuse it with recklessness, and incur huge losses. And on top of that, they pay themselves bonuses for incurring consecutive losses. And today they have the temerity to be granted interviews.
Okay, Sami Jemfi, I'm grateful for your time. This conversation is just starting. Just a minute for you, Fifi, as we wrap up.
I do not think that by employing abusive language is a way of addressing a sensitive national topic like we are doing. Sami Jemfi talked about premium. I have heard persons, including Honorable Eric Opoku, who say that this year, premium of 490 something was paid. You ask them, where did that information come from? It doesn't exist anywhere. It is only a figment of somebody's imagination. But on top of that, it is not surprising that these persons went to the former president and mislead him, because they say that August average should be the basis of determining cocoa price, forgetting that the cocoa season actually spans for a period of 12 years. I have already made you understand.
We need to go.
Sure.
Yes.
I've already made you understand that sales starts 12 months before the season begins. What they do not realize is that to determine the price, if you say that you are using just the price for the month, what happens 2 months into the season, 4 months into the season? If he claims that you are only supposed to use the month where you open the price average to determine the price, it's clearly people who have absolutely no idea of how cocoa prices are determined.
And this conversation is just starting. There's more on PM Express, as Fifi Boafo, who speaks for COCOBOD, will be on that platform together with the others to dissect the matters. And we'll also be checking the figures for you right here at Joy News. And that's it for Top Story. Next is Newsnight.